Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5th day. We're going to be continuing what we left off with yesterday, which was balancing the game. I'm going to do a quick check here of my Twitch stream, just to see if it's working. My Twitch stream, just to see if it is. It is. And I'm curious if that'll show up in chat. It does. So I can see it, but it doesn't show up on the stream. YouTube chat does, but not anything else. So I wonder why that is. Oh yeah, I need to be in my channel management mode here. Real quick so his chat goes away. No scams here. Alright, now that he's banned, we can get on with it. So the major problem we were having was making sure that we balanced out all the problems with the Monday playtest that came about of the changes and the mistakes. And I thought about it more, and I definitely want the raccoon to be the first boss, so I'm gonna switch everything around so raccoon spawn first. And we have like a little raccoon mini boss, and then you fight the big guy. The big question that I still need to answer is I really wanted to put a monster in every stage that dropped an augment, but I don't want to use the same mini boss twice. I don't know if I make just like a slightly higher HP guy and then like a much higher HP guy, because we have this pattern in our game, right, where there's sort of like 3 waves, like a wave that starts to introduce a small number of monsters, right, and then you have like a, you know, much larger number of monsters, and then finally you have the boss with, you know, a small number of monsters coming in. So and this creates like a nice thing, but I need to put here we can put the mini boss really easily, but then the question is like what to put here, or to like switch the mini boss so he goes here, make him a lot weaker, and then figure out what we want to do here. So let's get to work on that. I want bosses to feel special, so I don't really want to give 6 bosses per level, because with like 15 minutes games, I think that's like a little bit intense. Like every 2 minutes a new boss is coming. Like a boss will be on your screen most of the time doing something special, and I think that that will kind of take away from like the tower defense and vampire survivor nature of it by making it more of like this boss defense game, which is not where we're aiming. So I need to come up with another solution for that. Hey Davina, welcome to the stream. So maybe what we can do is we can use the saturation trick. I wonder how well it works on all enemies. But if it doesn't work, I can probably have the artist quickly make second ones. The saturation trick is nice because we don't have to eat up additional texture size. But what we could do is we could, for this one, just make it a slightly bigger version, right? That doesn't really have that much more stats. Maybe like 2 or 3 times higher HP or something. That just like makes sure ensures that it gets close enough and then drops its chest that you can pick up, and then you can get your upgrade. And then here we can make it bigger, and we can do like a saturation shift and make it quite a bit stronger, so it stands out a lot more and feels a lot more unique. And then finally down here we'll have like a unique boss. Hey Jack, welcome to the stream as well. So let's try that out and see how it feels. So we've made a lot of the game already, so luckily we can test these ideas out pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate, which I don't normally advise people to do, but I want to be able to do this without worries that I lose information. And I might want to compare the old information with the new information and swap between them. So I think what I'll do here is I'll call this one old, and I might not even push this one up. If I don't like it, it allows me to delete it, and then I'll change the major one. But now if I want to, I can always go and see what it used to be to try to calculate like the right number of monsters and the right number of HP. And we're gonna have to touch DT enemy balance props too to really make the raccoons the right amount of health. And I'm probably going to want to know what the tower attributes are as well. And so our default tower is this one, and it kind of has 45 damage with like 1500 range. It targets the closest target. But I think I might want it to tackle random targets to make it more reliable. It does 45 damage without any upgrades, so if I want you to be able to kill the raccoon, it can't really have more than 90 HP. Right now they have 1,000, and so that would be quite a significant drop in HP. How much health do the... By default, the rats had 100. So I would probably want to bring the raccoons down to a similar amount if I just had the same number of raccoons spawning. And then I could drastically increase the number of rats spawning in the other waves. We saw during the playtest that people could have, you know, almost 1,000 rats on their screen and still have 60 FPS while streaming and a pretty high resolution. So I'm not too worried about number of enemies here. So all I had to do to make the first wave raccoons is just do this. And do this. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that we have 3 waves, so this will kind of be good here. So here we spawn 2 and we spawn 1 at a time, at a 40-degree angle. Point doesn't matter if the type isn't point. So they basically will pick two random like 40 degrees. I find 40 degrees is like too linear, so I'm going to up these to 60. Which I find to be much better for directional spawning without them kind of like feeling like they're walking too much in a line, but they're still obviously walking from the same direction. So I'm going to go ahead and bump them up. And if we're really seeing here, every 8 seconds every second. Okay, let's think about it in terms of how much HP we create per second as a way to balance. So before, if they were 100, this would create 33 HP a second, and this one would create 20. So we would put like 53 HP out on the map on a second, and that turned out to be like pretty good. So maybe what we do is we give them much higher HP than the rats, so the rats like feel a lot weaker, but we just make less of them. And that should be a pretty good feeling. So we'll go to the enemy balance props, and we're gonna say that they have like 200 health, right? And we'd really want to drop their base damage down. 50 is like absolutely ridiculous because they're like 2-shot towers, but I'd really like the game to get more into like your towers get attacked more often, so buying tower HP is good, and thinking about how much HP each tower has is more useful. But if the base damage is too high, then it's just like, hey, you know, if these get to your towers, they're going to destroy them, and after you've kind of like started to lose some towers, you're going to really struggle. So I think that this damage needs to be significantly reduced. And we need to think like, how many seconds after it's on the tower do I want it to kill a base one? And I think 10 seconds is not that bad. So it'll get there, and it'll kind of like chunk. And 10 is high enough that it'll be noticeable. So I think that this will go off a lot better. I think here I'll say like, don't initially spawn units now. So that way, like you kind of have this one that spawns initially, and then another 3 seconds later, and then another 5 seconds later, and then it'll give a bit of randomness back and forth to things. So it looks a little bit more random. And now if I go to, let's actually play on the Grasslands map. Oh, I need to see. No, I can't hit the thing. Oh, did we get rid of? Oh, I'm not clicked in. Let me make sure that I don't have any upgrades here. I have a lot of upgrades. Oops, I said all upgrades. Now my upgrades are reset. And I should be Cersei too. Oh, and I have like 10,000. Why do I have 10,000? Oh, it's the cheat menu. Oh no. Well, somebody put slash to open up settings, so that's not great. Probably want to get rid of that. Oh, that makes the augments come up. I forget what the cheat menu is. Let's see what we can do here. Cheat menu? No. Well, cheat resources is... kind of interesting. We call it debug menu, maybe? So we did not leave a comment here. Nope. Of how to use it. So let me figure out where we summon this. So there's open debug menu. Say you can press the that is not what I'm looking for. So this is the menu settings. So this is the slash key. So how do we make the debug menu pop open? So somebody did this, so then where do they call this function? So that's how it activates, and this is how it runs. Somewhere we like create a function to make it run. How does it? What are we doing here? You press any key? This is not immediately clear to me. Activation hold time. So we only get it as 0. How does this menu even open? I mean, it seems to suggest just like pressing control should open it up, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, that does not work. Okay, activation key is 0Z. Okay, Z works. I don't know. So we'll just leave some things here. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll just leave a comment here that says, like, you can turn on the debug menu by hitting the activation key, which is Z. And I can say, I am unsure how this works. And then, due to our style guide, I'll make the screen so people know that it tells you how this thing works. And I will go over to the debug menu, which is where people will probably first look to try to understand how the debug menu works and remember it, and leave a comment there. I want to open the others. So now I can submit the content, and I only want to submit my debug menu changes. Oh, I must not have hit save on the other one. Control S, check out. Now we can submit these. Now people can know how to open this menu if they forget. No, I don't want to keep adding comments. Make debug easier to remember. You need to hit the C key. So that's probably why I have 10,000, which I needed to fix because, yep. So if we have a little thing that you can like check that. Technically I could leave that at 10,000. I could probably, yeah, negative works too. But now when I play, I'll be more normal, so I can like figure out if I'm kind of right. I think I should. It should be way too tough right now, is my guess, because I put basically double the HP out on the map that used to exist. So, start of the game, you're supposed to like go collect wood basically, and get the gold coins and build more of these for gathering. This one's a nice one to place too. I think that covers most of what you have available to you. Huh. I don't see any raccoons yet, though. There's some raccoons. Oh wow, they're just so slow. They spawn so far away and they're so slow. that the rats actually beat them. You can see here that I don't quite have the strength that I need because it takes so many hits to beat them, even with Cersei's like bonus tower. So I am right there. But that does raise sort of a question of when we do the enemy. This spawn radius of like 2,000, 20,000 is like pretty ridiculous. I'm kind of actually curious. Because I'm pretty sure this goes to, if this goes to 0, 0, I can use, I can say the sphere radius is like 20,000. And get like a good understanding of like how far away things are spawning, and they're going like much farther than they need to spawn at. So we could probably like bring things in a bit so they don't spawn so far. But I don't want to get it too close because not every map is as small as this map. I think that the desert map is much, much bigger. So I think bringing it to 15,000 is a good idea, but it's probably still not going to make up for the fact that they're so stinking slow. I wonder if I need to spawn slower, moving enemies closer. Other vampire survivors kind of get away with it because they're coming at the player, so they can just spawn them like slightly off your screen. And so they don't have to account for this. But I mean, I could write something that says like don't spawn them on the screen, and so like they'd spawn over here or something. But I think it would kind of give like a weird feeling to the game. As you can see here that these guys are just so slow. I could try to keep monsters' movement speeds like closer together, like a certain minimum, so they don't just spend too long just like walking over here. You can see 15,000 made a huge difference, right? They're gonna get here ahead of the rats this time, but the rats are already spawning now on wave 2. I mean, I wouldn't spawn rats on the next wave, so maybe I can like avoid this problem too, because I'm not really going to be swapping between like different monsters that much. I wonder if each map needs a different spawn radius too, to just make it feel good, because, you know, if I had it just for this map, right, I'd just say that, like, you know, this was the spawn radius or something, and they basically spawn inside the walls and immediately walk out of them. To be honest, I could probably even go all the way down to 9,000 on this map, right? And they could theoretically spawn right there, and that'd be a little bit weird, but that might make the waves like a little bit easier if you kind of knew that you were spawning them on the edge of the map. The other big question about this is it is kind of an assumption that the maps are different sizes. I'm not 100% sure that how different they are. So let's take a quick look at the desert. And we can put another spear down, and like if this had a 9,000 spawn radius, right, at 0, 0, you can kind of see that it would spawn like this. Interesting enough, they would never spawn here. But I think that this might, even for the desert, kind of be okay enough. And I could bring this in, and that would solve a lot of the problem, like, because the map is actually unbalanced. Like, it's a lot easier to see with this sphere that, like, the map is shifted a little bit to the right. So, like, a lot of this could be brought in, um, and that map would be fine. So 9,000 actually works there. Let's try the flooded forest. Set this to 9,000 again. And flooded forest is pretty good. It actually moves to the bottom left instead. So I think a lot of this is actually like really quite fixable. Ice map. Oh yeah, the ice map is special too, because it's, whoa, it's that far off center. That's gonna cause problems even with like the old like 20,000, because it's gonna it's gonna just spawn. Yeah, that'll have to get fixed. In fact, that's so bad that I kind of want to fix it right now. Of course, it doesn't let me just move everything. But why not? Do I have something selected that just... Huh? That seems very weird too. Notice how like when that goes to 0, it's not in the center. That could be... Yeah, that's not like relative location at all. But you know, if I look, like that would be like the center. I'll let the map designer handle this instead of doing it myself. But the nice thing is that like we've confirmed that like that stage is also like quite appropriate to do this. This is gonna whine at me and ask me to save a billion things. Oh no, it didn't. This map is good enough, so I don't have to worry about it there. And the beach is still in progress, so we don't even need to bother with that. But I guess I can double check too that the beach is is about the right size, and it seems to be like kind of the appropriate size. So yeah, I think there's a large advantage here to shrinking the size. Then we can slow the bosses down, and you'll still have time to react to the direction that the boss spawned in. But it won't be like a billion years for everything to get to you. And so the wave timers will kind of match up with the waves a little bit better. I think we want to like remove the wave timers anyway, because they're kind of like confusing and a misnomer, unless we figure out a better way to tell players like, hey, like this is just kind of like what's spawning right now, and you'll have to deal with them. Before I forget, let me reach out to and you can see here the ice map is like actually much bigger. So let me make my arrow bigger. Cool. That work is assigned out. So that should be pretty good then. So this can drop like all the way down to 9,000. Is that what the sphere is right now? Yeah. Now the raccoons will show up here really early. Because they have less than half the distance to go than they did before. In fact, I should be able to see now even where they're coming from, which is kind of a nicety. Kind of the other interesting thing is that I didn't think about was like slower movement speed enemies like tend to bunch up more. Because they don't move so far in 3 seconds, so 3 seconds later, the guy's kind of spawning behind them in a very similar place. And so it'll kind of naturally make them spawn up more. So I think like slower moving enemies also kind of get this advantage too, where I can put more spawn time between them and give them more health. And it'll still feel like they're coming in at the same rate as other things, even though they are definitely not. So, which is a factor I did not think of until I just tested it just now. Oh, we even are spawning particularly fast rats on the second wave. I think fast rats even have less health. Yeah, they do. They only have 60 over 100. They move a lot faster. I would kind of let people to understand what's coming up in sort of the future like wave circle arcs. So I probably do want to spawn rats and other enemies in to keep things a little bit fresh, like a little bit ahead of time. But I probably want to keep them like very light in number. So you're still encouraged to tailor your towers towards the current arc quite aggressively until you're so overpowered that you just want to prepare for future waves right off the bat. I have these point spawns, so these are meant more for bosses. It doesn't actually do anything, so I'm going to zero these out so people realize what's going on. So wave 1, kind of a small amount, give you lots of time. Wave 2, really start to increase the number of raccoons that are spawning. Give you like a powerful raccoon to fight. Wave 3, give you the saturated, really strong raccoon to fight. Wave 4 is boss with lots of raccoons and the Portobello Gator boss. Yeah, so this is good. This just needs to be a raccoon then. We're just going to multiply all these numbers by 2. And I can actually simplify this down once all these numbers are out. Because if we want to spawn from 360, there's no reason to like create separate groups. Oh, these are directional. Two directions at the beginning, and then what? To spawn a bunch. And this would be like the raccoon augment, which is what I really need to do. And I can't remember if... Yeah, these don't have a special one, so... Basically just create a new enemy class, tell it that it's an augment one, and drop a raccoon in there. Yep. Yeah, let's do it. Let's test the first wave first, though, with the hacks. And the fact that the rat won't start attacking us any longer on the second wave. I guess the rat augment will, but... Oh, nice. This one spawned here, and he's like, I'm gonna get you. These guys aren't really a threat at all. Okay, this is kind of nice. Shows a little bit of threat without like too much threat. Like not the best player here. Like I probably turned out okay. That guy's gonna have way too much HP though. And then I kind of lose to him, and then that's good. And then the big problem here is, yeah, I don't know how to solve this one. It's like they're gonna fight me, and they're so slow that like I can run around here, and like if you don't really understand what's going on in the game, it's gonna like take forever for you to die. Like you could just run almost infinitely, and like collect wood. And it might lead you down the wrong path of like what the game's. Because here I'd like you just to lose. So I need to create some kind of like aggro rule where like if there aren't any towers, yeah, I think it just needs to be like if there aren't any towers in the game, like just start attacking the home base and just end the game. So you can't like do something like this and like run around, right? Maybe even like if there's like if there's less than one tower or something, right? So you can't do something like this and then, no, there's still a tower in, and you just like hide for days. Overall, we got a lot of what we wanted in the first one. So the first wave is pretty good. The rat seems a little bit too strong, so that's like a little bit more HP probably. Well, I don't know. I can't see his HP. Wonder how hard it would be to just steal just the boss HP part out of the BP boss. Bosses are like a little bit overloaded with like network timers and special attacks and things like that. Like I don't want to account for, but this is bad. We need to get the display name. But creating a boss health bar is not that crazy. It's funny that like we do this. I can move this over to the game state so like the bosses don't do it, and instead they just get the game state's boss health bar and add to it. And that would clean that up a lot. You'd never have to worry about this case basically, because this boss health would just be part of the HUD. It also helped people like find it and view it when they were designing for it too. Then you can kind of feel overwhelmed by bosses as they spawn. That's pretty neat. Yeah. You deal with like 9 bosses per. They kind of stack up, and you're trying to like beat the bosses, but you know that the elites and the mini bosses aren't really that challenging compared to the major bosses. So okay, yeah, let's do this. Not much, Andrew. How you doing? I wonder if these widgets, like actually care that it's a boss. Oh, okay, cool. He can pass here because he does the translation. What? Oh no! Don't do this. Not like this. Okay, that's fine. It's fast. It was probably just a fast solution. I just need to give the correct solution. This is just bad because like basically what's happening is they're just chopping up the row name, which is supposed to be like an internal name only. Not only that, but like names can't be translated and localized. So like we need to have like a display name, and I'm pretty sure like in the enemy balance props we probably do have a display name. Okay, we don't. So that was one of their worries, I think, is there's no display name here, so they didn't think about it either. Um, I can keep the row name and the display name, and then just mention that like the display name for, well, even non-bosses. I think we want a bestiary, so we probably want a good name for all of the enemies. So, um, so that's something to be done too. But one thing at a time. Right now, that's balance. So I'm kind of thinking that like I don't really like inheritance, but I think it's good in this case. I was trying to decide if I wanted to move around uh, inheritance, but I think maybe basically taking this logic, um, raising it to the enemy level, and then making it a checkbox, and then by default, bosses show their health bar would be good, and then non-bosses could also like show their health bar too. And I think that's the way that we're going to handle that. So let's do this, and I want this done so I can see like how close. Like we don't know how close we got to beating the blue rat, and so both from a balance perspective, like I have no idea if it was correctly. If we felt like we got close, because I want the player to feel like they got close, lose, go buy upgrades, and then win the next time. So but if I can't see the health bar, I don't know how close we got. And also the player wouldn't know. And so they may just be like, well, I don't even know what I did wrong. Like I just didn't die. What am I supposed to do? Right. And so I think that anything that's stronger than just a normal monster needs to have the health bar available so people can do it. I could spawn health bars above every enemy. That's going to be really slow. I could spawn health bars just above those enemies and not give them the same boss bar. But since we have the boss bar and it handles a ton, I think that it's a little bit better off. And it kind of acts as like this timer. When you see like 2, you're like, oh crap, I got to do something. or things are going to end up badly. I think that Hollow Cure does this. I think that both the bars spawn too, and in some way you kind of know how much health they have. So, and I remember that kind of being a cool feeling. So we're going to mimic that. So what I need to do to kind of ensure that I don't break things is see where this happens, which is begin play. Oh, we wouldn't even be able to look for top level only too here, which probably significantly speeds this up. So we definitely need to cache it, but that's fine too. Caching's not that hard. Let's just do one thing at a time. So first we're going to take this out of bosses, right? And we're going to go to enemies, right? And what we need to do is here we need to sequence this out. This begin play on enemy is getting pretty ridiculous. So let's get some more space. And get things like a little bit more sorted. Set of materials. That's like more aggro stuff, so what we can do here is we can kind of like sequence some of this and maybe wrapping these up into more functions now that we're farther along. Could be good. And this is like, the second thing is like all kind of like about doing aggro, right? This is like initialization, and this is like aggro. And then this is like setting up all the timers. And I'm not really sure if whether I like sequences on kind of these big classes like this, or if I would rather just break it up into events, because I could have like 3 events here that's like handle like do aggro things, do initialization, and then have the event, and then aggro, and so forth. And I kind of have a little bit more organization without the white lines. But in general, I like the idea of sequencing too, because it's pretty good. So then here, this is where we would add that thing that we copied, and that this would this would work. So we'll actually pass the row name along. I don't know why we tried to use the scene achievement name. But really what we'll do is we'll pass the enemy balance, and then they could go get whatever data they wanted to you know, show the health bar. And they must be, because create that variable. That should work. And what we'll, now that this is just compiling just fine, what we can do is we can collapse the nodes here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to collapse to a function. We'll collapse to a function here. We'll say right, we'll say add health bar. And here, the first thing we'll do is we'll branch, and then this will be a config. And this will be like the, we'll say create health bar or something. And I think people will kind of like decide whether we show the big red health bar often on special enemies like bosses, right? And we'll compile. By default, we do not want to create a health bar. Those things do not want a health bar. But now what we can do is we can go to bosses, and we can say in their class defaults health bar, and I can say make a health bar. So now all bosses will make a health bar, and it's like that code still exists basically in the same spot. It's in a little bit of a different spot, but I don't think anything in here kind of depends on it, so that's pretty good. Now we also do not need, oh, that's not good. Oh. So this needs to be brought up too. It'd probably be better if the health bar itself like bound to some event and then could update. But this isn't too bad. It's pretty readable too. So I think I don't want to get too much in the weeds. And we can set this to be a config value, I think, a little bit. I think I just want to make a little function here. We can call this like update health bar, right? And then like the way we know whether or not we want to update the health bar is we get the health widget, right? And if this is valid, right? If we actually made one, then we can update the health bar. And let's see, that's current health, so we just get new health now because we set it right before we run this function. So we don't really need to pass it in. And this code should essentially do the exact same thing. That it was doing, but now anybody can take advantage of it. Then we just make sure that it's plugged in. And I think even when they die, we want the health bar to go to 0. There's probably some kind of code in the health bar, like when it goes to 0, destroy it or something. So, and this was always running before, so it's doing the exact same thing it was. And then the nice thing is we can get rid of that. And that should work. We just grab any boss. Now, like the Rat King. And if everything's right, Rat King's name is still there. You can see that its name is different now, but I kind of knew about that, so we're going to fix that next. I bet it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna make me check out basically every enemy now. So we're gonna submit and say, what did we do? We moved health bar from BP boss to enemy and made it a config switch. All bosses get health bars by default. This is to prep for elites showing a health bar. All right. So let's clean up some of the other doo-doos we made. So if we want to have a display name that can be localized, we need to get a text field, and we want to like have a text field for the monsters. So we can just come into our enemies DT. That's used for our data. We just call this, this is a structure, and we just let people know that it's used for a data table primarily. What we can do here is we want to add a variable. Oop, I added 2 variables. Let's delete one. And this is going to be a display name, right? And you want any display name that you have to be text so you can localize it. And I like to put the display name as the first thing because it makes it easy in case the row name, which is how we refer to it internally, starts to get separated from how we do it externally. It just makes it easier to find. And now that we've done that, if we go back to our enemy balance props, you'll see now that there's a data table for the display name, right? So we can do things like find the Rat King boss, right? And now we can call it whatever we want. And so he's called Charlie the Rat King. And what that lets us do is we don't want the container. What we do want to do is we do want the health bar itself. Do I not have it up? Okay, well, in an enemy, this will probably take me to the thing. Where's the function for the name? Oh no. Okay, we'll go to BP enemy and we will What? Oh. Okay, I guess that's fair. It adds a health bar and it passes and it handles. Okay, that's not too bad. The great thing now is like we get rid of all of this, right? All this like random code where we're like manipulating strings. We don't need any of this anymore, right? Um, and it's gonna be so simple now. Like we're just gonna get data, table row, right? And then we just say it's the enemy balance props, right? And we break this, and we're gonna get the display name right here. Boom, 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 right? And then if here, we're gonna say no enemy balance props row, right? And now, if I've done everything right, it'll say Charlie the Raccoon. So now everything can have its own name. We'll start to encourage that. I can have the lore and our artist decide what the names are for things that are a little bit less clear, right? And so now, you know, we can call this like a raccoon elite. If you want to call it elite and mini boss, it's not bad. What else could we call it? Officer doesn't really fit with monsters very well. Is there a way we can make it like more alchemic? Maybe there's like a way we could be like modified and like transmuted or something. Oh yeah, TransmuTowers, transmuted. I like that. Maybe elite and then the transmuted raccoon. And the transmuted raccoon is like saturated and all weird. And then if it's a little bit weirder than normal because the saturation didn't play out very well, you know, we can kind of get away with a little bit more because we're like, oh, it's like failed alchemy. I like that. Transmuted's pretty good. Because then, like, what we could call it, like, I could experiment, and, well, they're all kind of experiments, so experiment's probably not that great. Let's just, like, look up, like, alchemy terms. See if there's anything. That just speaks to me. Like thesaurus transmute. Ooh, altered is pretty good. Transmogrify. It's also an interesting. But I don't think I want to use like two words that start with the same word. It might, if people aren't paying attention. It's not going to turn out very well. I like alter. Like altered raccoon, transmuted raccoon. I think that could work out really well. And alters are like a little bit weaker because they're just a small amount, and then they finally been transmuted. It plays with TransmuTowers. It gives more alchemy in the game. Now the real question is, now the next question is how do I want it to look? Because like what we could do is like our raccoon elites could be like raccoon altered. You know, it could be dash altered. It could be altered raccoon. This might be a little bit better because then it won't be as like, raccoon, on top of each other. So I think I like this idea. Yeah. That it's like this altered raccoon, right? And this would just be raccoon. And this would be like transmuted raccoon. I like this idea. Yeah. Okay, let's make it happen. So let's save everything here. And we're going to say prepping for future display names for enemies. Me looks cool. And I get two different ways. Oh, that looks even like a little bit more toxic. That could be even better. I think he's very poisonous. Yeah, we'll probably go that direction. So I guess just make the enemies. Is there anything else standing in my way? Not really. So I think the best way to do this is probably to duplicate and then be like, I'm going to call it like altered, right? And really all I want alters to be right, are just slightly bigger versions of themselves. So I think I just come in here and I just like 350, 350. They're like not gonna be like so strong. We want them to kind of be like up a little bit more, maybe a little bit better centered. And then this collision sphere is probably going to go up to like 200. Right. And I think that they walk on the bottom of their collision sphere, so I think we just do that. Right. And if we've done everything right, all I do over here is I say it has a health bar. Right. And it drops the augment. And did we name them with 2 C's? Oh, we did. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going 2 C's. Everywhere. Oh, I could even like, I could give them a marker too to let you know where they're coming from. Oh, that could be fun. And the nice thing is that these don't even need another material. It is recognized. Okay, double C's everywhere. So the way we tie these together is like this raccoon. I don't even remember if it's case sensitive. Okay, it doesn't. I got that case right anyway. So this guy should work now. And to be honest, he doesn't really need to have that different of stats other than like his base health, right? And so if they have like 200, like maybe we can just like give him this guy had 2,000, and that seemed to be like okay, but I don't know how close we were. So maybe we just maybe just 10 times more health. Maybe he moves like a little bit faster. So he looks like he's overtaking guys. That'll look kind of cool. And let's try to put him on a map. After the raccoon pops up, let's make sure that as he gets hit. Nice. He doesn't bounce when he attacks. But oh, here you go. Attack bounce speed. Yeah, don't bounce, and then when you are attacking, bounce just a little bit. That seems completely unnoticeable. Does this value even matter anymore? Okay, it does not seem to. Maybe it's important to look at the MI and maybe. Okay, like 7 seems like pretty fun. Let's see if I left any comments about how this works. I think I wrote this code. I don't know. Let's see if it's like a set bounce speed or if it's like a multiplier. So now we should be noticeable. Okay, nice. It is noticeable. He might also want to be a little bit bigger because he's like kind of getting strangely inside towers. So. You shouldn't really be able to get inside towers, huh? It could be like the left thing. I think somebody accidentally messed it up. And that somebody might have been me. So I think that like maybe something in here is wrong. I don't see anything immediately. I'll fix some of this while I'm here. This doesn't feel like me as much just because I don't think I ever really like put anything above the white line. So, but it could have been me. Like, I wonder if, like, every monster, when it gets to the attack location, it just looks right. Like, it basically stops, like, moving. Oh, yeah. That's kind of a problem with this, too, is, like, I probably want to put the ball around his face, because the ball's at his center, right? So when he looks at things, it looks, he thinks that he's looking from the center of his body. So if I want this guy to look right, that's why he was, like, off-center. If I want this guy to look right, he's going to need to his face is going to have to be basically the center here. And if he has a little bit of extra, then that's fine. And that should make him more appropriately look at things. Yep, see, now I like kind of look right when he does it. Victory. Spookies. Get rid of the skull too. Save everything, check that out. Altered. Complete. And now that that's complete, we just go to the wave pool, right? Where the rat thing augment is, and then we look for the altered raccoon here. Now the altered raccoon will show up. And then here we'll want the more raccoons, and we will summon the transmuted one. So let's go ahead and make that one. Raccoon transmuted, right? And really what we're going to do is we're going to create a material instance, and we're going to do it off this guy. One, so we don't have to adjust as many things, and two, that way if anybody changes the top raccoon one, it'll kind of auto update here as well. So you'll see here now, like I still have my bounce amount, so all the bounce stuff will still work correctly. But the only thing I need to change is my desaturation. And we're just gonna like desaturate until we think it looks good. That's like maybe a little bit too much. That feels good. And then all we have to do over here is open the full blueprint editor and change this guy over to the transmuted version. And he'll be just as big as the other guy. I don't know if we want to make these guys even bigger or if they should just be colored. I think I'll just go with coloring for now. And give them a little bit. And then we have to make the DT enemy balance props. We can duplicate the row. One weird thing about this is like, and I did it, is if you use your scroll wheel, there's a bug where like you can't reposition it. So you have to like move it and then scroll wheel and then move it again. Very annoying. And so we're going to call this guy Raccoon Transmuted, right? And then we just had to say transmuted here. And we could probably give this guy like 4,000 health. And like make him move much faster. But curiously enough, he's gonna have to do less damage, I think, because he's definitely gonna make it to people's towers. And oops. Then the last step that we have to do is we need this to match the balance prop rows here. And we now have another enemy done. As always, we test. submit. We say transmuted raccoon. Finished. And we can now add him into the wave pool. Oh, this is the old one. The new one. And this will be the transmuted guy. This can be an enemy raccoon. We'll double it. This can be an enemy raccoon. We'll double it. This one. And then what we want to happen here is this will be our tapir. And we want to spawn some raccoons here. We don't want a ton, but mostly what we're trying to do here is if you get really strong, you kill the boss really fast. You don't just sit there for like 2 minutes with nothing happening on your screen. People swore up and down to me that the game was broken. But then like when we actually go do it, it's clearly not broken. And it's just that they killed the boss like instantly because they had like a super long range tower that just like one shot the boss or something. That's the other thing that we have to be careful of is now that we're letting people like shoot really, really far, if the enemies are off the screen, there's nothing that there's no max range that stops the towers from shooting people off the screen. So you'd kill somebody and not be able to pick up the thing because it died off screen. I might want to like set the max range of towers to like 5,000 or something. So that it's much harder to do that. So 25,000 seems pretty insane. But because this guy is going to become basically that boss. Good name here. But yeah, so now this boss will spawn. What I was thinking of with this guy is like he seems big and squishy, so I think I was gonna make him take more damage, so he would be really susceptible to the early game spike towers. And that could be a way for you to lose, because maybe I only let you unlock the spike tower like when you kill the raccoon mini boss, or maybe I only let you unlock the spike tower after you've killed this guy once, and then you use it on him, and you're like, oh, he's trivial if I add a spike tower. That's something that I've been kind of playing with a little bit. But he's kind of like this big guy that kind of like hulks towards your base, and I think I want to encourage you to build like fast attacking towers. So building soul towers is going to be definitely the wrong move during the raccoon phase as you're like building through. You wouldn't want to build those towers. You'd want primarily magic and or spike towers. Spike towers might be good if I do give this guy negative armor, and you want to pick like attack speed augments to better beat this guy. And then I can make the wolf instead. I can make him have like a bunch of armor. So like if you have if you overinvest in spike towers, then you'll get to the wolf He'll have armor. Spike towers will do nothing to him, and you'll wish that you had like much more like single target damage from like the soul and the magic. I think that'll be pretty good. But yep, that's the idea. But it's a little bit after 5, so I think I'm going to call it here and go chat actually with one of the engineers on the project and show him what I've done and get his thoughts. So thank you everybody who watched today. Oh, answer me, you freak. Uh-oh. I don't work in Blender. And I have no idea how to get into the animation business. I'm more of like a producer and an engineer. I'm not a very good artist. But I would recommend, if you're trying to get into gaming and you're still here, Constituent, is to find a team that'll let you work for free that you think is going to launch a game, like actually ship a game. So maybe a team that's starting on its second game, or a team that launched a very small project onto Steam, because most teams never ever launch a game or even get to something that you can like put in a portfolio or anything. And so what you're really going to want to do is get your name on some stuff. You can also just make them by yourself if you feel confident in that. But if you don't want to do any programming or something, you're going to have to find somebody to pair with to get those things done. You can just kind of like give models to people and get in the credits, but I don't think that helps as much as like really fully understanding what it takes to launch a game and working closely with the team. And I think if you have that experience, 1, you'll get contacts, and then 2, you'll be able to speak to like what it actually takes to release a game inside of interviews, and I think that can help a lot. And this game's name is TransmuTowers. It is not published yet, but you can wishlist it on Steam. It's transmu, like transmutation, and then towers, so it's a Vampire Survivors tower defense. And it will be our 3rd game released to Steam. And so you can see here the game, and you can see me streaming. I should probably open this chat up in case anybody's ever here. But oh, there's 2 people watching. I wonder if one's me or if it's 2 other people. But hey, Anthony, if you're still there, I saw your chat now. I'll try to do better about getting that on. It doesn't show up in my OBS apparently, like my Twitch and my YouTube chats do. But hopefully that answered your question, Constituent, and wish you all the best.